Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm Bryce.
The Jedi Archives, where we try and bring you comic books about every other week when we can. Today, we're going to review the High Republic issue 2.
And I'm going to start off with the League of Comic Geeks. And we have these covers. This is the main cover, which I really like it. It has our three main characters, Jedi Master Mac Vildar, and then we have Taserek, the Sefi thief, and we have Maddie, who is the Jedi Padawan on Jeddah.
Covers a little foreshadowing too.
Yeah, a lot of foreshadowing actually, because it takes us all the way to the end of the issue. But I really like this cover. It's got a lot of detail on their faces. I love Jedi Mac. He's just like quickly becoming one of my favorites. Jonathan, anything you like about this cover?
You can't see it that well, but I love their sabers so far, and the alternate covers we'll get to them. You can see their sabers better, but I'm loving these sabers out of the High Republic.
So that's the main cover. Here's a variant.
He's described as a big dude, so like I'm guessing he's kind of like a 6'4" linebacker type. Because
he's pretty big,
and he's a humanoid, so a human-like alien.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank of what they actually
technically there's no humans in Star Wars. It's just, anything that's 2 legs and 2 arms is a humanoid. So
like Padme is a human, so is Anakin, but this one is not like Padme or Anakin. I like this one. It's nice and golden.
No, I think he's the same. I don't know if you want to say race as Quinlan Voss, I think, isn't he?
Probably because maybe that stripe
markings
is not,
on the face are the same.
And the markings, that's what I'm thinking too. But I never thought to check to see what race Quinlan Voss was. But I did look them up, and I looked him up in particular in Wikipedia, and it said that he was a human-like sentient species, whereas the other ones are always listed as humans.
He looks like a Cara Urban.
Yeah, he was called something specific in the comic, and I just right now I'm having a blank on what that was.
That's a cool cover.
Yeah,
look at his belt, but look at his belt buckle. I love it. Oh, look familiar? I got it on my shirt. I love that belt buckle. He just looks so...
He's got his Marty McFly jacket on.
He's so rugged. Yeah, I love it. He's got the gloves. Looks good. He just looks badass in this scene. He's chopping up everything. So powerful. We have the clean version, or the virgin cover. With no writing. Just appreciate the artwork. This lightsaber is really nice.
Yeah. And
he, of course, is going to Jeddah to find himself. So he's like with the sisters.
Yeah, the variant here is no spoiler, right? Directly from the comic.
Yeah,
that was cool.
It's cool though. I like it. Yeah. I like that they're sisters, because when I first saw them, I thought, "Ooh, look at these guys, and they're girls." Right. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
And the last cover is this variant, which I think this is the one that you have, right?
I have. I think Bryce had this one too.
Yep, that's the one I have as well.
And you can see that's Maddie, and you can see her lightsaber, and she holds it kind of like Ahsoka, right? Like backwards, upside down.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly how she's holding it.
Yeah,
I really liked it. I didn't expect to walk into my comic book shop on Wednesday and they just had it there in my bin for me, so I was like, sweet.
That's nice. I'm gonna ask my comic store to start looking for variants for me. All right, so cool covers. That's quite a bit of covers. I like them all. And this episode says Balance of the Force, Chapter 2, Taserek. Oh, I didn't go over our characters. So we have Maddie Cathley. Maddie Cathley is a Twilight Jedi Padawan. She's operating out of the moon of Jeddah alongside Olivia Zeveron. And of course, this is around 382 BBY.
Is Olivia her master?
Yes. Okay. And then we also have Taserek. And Taserek is he's a Sefi individual who lived during the High Republic era and fought alongside Jedi Padawan Maddie Cathley and Jedi Vildar Mac. And we have, of course, Vildar Mac, my personal favorite. It says a near human male Jedi. travel to the moon Jeddah to find himself. I like him because he looks like he's my age. So I'm all for the older guys.
Oh boy.
And cool things. Anything you guys want to say before we?
I
Let me read the balance. Jonathan.
I was just gonna say where we left off the last issue. Pretty much, we get introduced to these characters, but there's I don't know if it's a misunderstanding or a quick tussle. But how do you pronounce his name? Tesseract?
Tesseract.
Kills or incapacitates?
He kills Mac. Yeah, Bildar Mac. He kills him.
Dude,
He
like
stops his heart with because he tells him he has these. He says he has this a lot of force abilities.
It's like a martial art kind of move.
Right. But the one he does is I know it's more a cry, but I remember it because that's the one that in Legends Yaddle had, that she could stop somebody's heart. And it was a very very, very rare force ability. So he said that he had it too, and Bildar Mac's like, that's impossible. It's just a legend. And he stops his heart. And so he's dead on the floor. And Maddie's like, what happened? So yeah, so last episode, our Jedi Master is dead on the floor. Then we come to issue 2, and it says, Death strikes on Jeddah. A Jedi lies dead in the ancient shrine, another on the trail of the murderer. Who is using ancient force powers on the streets of the holy city? And why are sacred relics going missing? And why do all roads lead to the Temple of the Wills? Let's get right into our issue. So here we are. It starts with a flashback of young Bildar Mac.
Yep.
And he's lying there dead on the ground.
And that's the same character that we see in issue 1 as well.
From a different perspective, though, because I think in issue 1 we saw his face, now we see his back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm super interested in who this character is, or if it's just a manifestation of his fear, or if it's a real character. I'm like,
well, it seems like this is a character that destroyed all the people in his village, and he was like one of the only survivors, if I remember correctly. Is that right, Bryce?
Yes.
Yeah. So
still reminds me of Mumra from Thundercats, but
yeah, it does a lot. So here's Maddie. She's like, oh my gosh, what happened to Bildar? He's dead. His heart stopped. Doesn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden he starts waking up. She's like, what? What happened? And he's like dazed and like, where is he? And she's like, you were dead. He's like, wait a minute. And then there's the victim.
Yeah, the woman that he
assumes that Tesseract had murdered in the temple. But then he finds the poison dart and he pulls it off the wall, and then he's using some unique Jedi power, which reminds me of like what Rey did when she held the saber and she got all these force memories, similar to that. But this one's different because it's like a radar. It's not memories. It's actually like tracing the person that left it to find him.
Yeah, and then the lower left, where it's basically you only see the whites of his eyes, totally reminds me, to go to a wrestling reference here, when the Undertaker would come to the ring and he'd roll his eyes in the back of his head. That's kind of like what he's, I feel like he's doing here. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool. But he sees all these things that we don't know exactly what it is, but he does see like visions.
Yeah, he's almost like looking into the Force is what the Force is just going to give him clues. It's really interesting because it's everything. It's mishmashes, lockers,
and the artwork looks like it's moving and reminds of what Yoda said, that always in motion the future is. Yeah. So he's having a vision of the future, which is what Luke did too as well, right? Yeah. And so then he also says, you know what, when I do this, it really packs a punch, and so he feels really weakened. And he says, all I see is these red doors with the suns, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, sounds like enlightenment. And he's like, no, it's this. She's like, no, she tells him it's the place called enlightenment. Yeah. He's like, oh, where is it? She's like, come on, I'll take you, right? She takes him there because that's where he's going to find
and she sits there and goes, well, I've been told not to go back since the last time
that I was told not to go back. Yeah, I love Maddie. She's funny. All the characters are really cool. Really cool. And so they're going through the town, right? And then there's all these different peoples meeting on Jeddah, not getting along, but all of them. And then they're going through, and Maddie's a little bit, bothered by Vildar just being so forceful. He's because she lives there, so she knows how to deal with people here, but he's just
Right.
arrived and he has no idea. And she's like trying to help him, but he is above her grade. And so they get here and it says enlightenment. And those are the doors he saw in his vision.
There's the twins.
And they're
I'm
the
so glad
sisters.
Mike is so fluent in Arabic. It's great.
I try my best. So here are the sisters going somewhere. That's like a familiar line, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to find this guy that we're looking for. Can we have a look around? And she's got that sheepish look on her face, like he meant to say please. And then we have this cool alien that runs this bar or whatever it is, a cantina, it looks like. He's super cool.
Well, that was one of the aliens in his vision, right?
Yes, that's
Yes.
right. He was in the vision too. That's right.
Yep. Yeah, he was on the right side of that photo.
Mm-hmm. So they go in there and he starts telling the proprietor, I'm looking for this guy. He's a dark side user, right? Because he said he had the dark side of the Force. And then they're like, and he says, there he is. And he throws the dart at him.
He nails him, right? Oh, he doesn't nail him. He pins him against the wall.
He pins his hood. He's like,
with the dart that he took out
with the dart
earlier in the comic. Yep.
And then the sisters just go like, thwack, knock him down and grab Maddie. And like, you can't do that in here. You're going to be barred. That's when he explains to him, oh, he has the dark power. He uses the dark powers. And then he used the ancient art of Morocro. And then he's like, is Creighton going to tell him, or are you? He's like, this is so embarrassing. And we realize that that he introduced himself. He's Tesseract, and he's a Sephi, and the Sephi have this pheromones that can stop people's hearts momentarily, temporarily, not forever.
Yeah, I think it's something that they still have to like produce. I don't think it's a natural thing. From this, I thought he said that it's something that has been like something that like his ancestors had developed.
But it says it's a pheromone, so I'm assuming it's like they do produce it, but like it's a pheromone. So and then Innocent, he's a murderer because he thinks that he killed that woman in the temple. And he all says who. And then he shows his little droid that records everything, how when he arrived, she was already dead. So it was a misunderstanding. But Vildar Mac's like, what? He's just too quick to jump to conclusions.
So how do you pronounce that? The convocation? Is that what they're...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the convocation.
I was kind of stumbling on that. I was trying to read about convocation. Is that a word?
It's a word in English too.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Similar to a convent, isn't it?
Well, if you're Catholic, you'll know. And I'm a very Catholic boy, so I know what a convocation is. So here he says it's a pheromone that his ancestors developed to temporarily knock out predators. There's no magic or dark side. So he's just his species, type of alien has all these abilities.
Our Billy Butcher type hero. I keep forgetting his name. He keeps mentioning the Morichinro. And so I didn't read any earlier reference to that. Is this something only he knows about?
The Morocro, it's something that we've known in legends, that it's a Force ability. This wasn't it. It mimics Morocro. So it's kind of like Bryce, you were saying, it's kind of like a jujitsu or something.
Oh, so the Morocro is the death touch.
Right.
Okay.
You can slow a heart down through the Force.
Think like Kill Bill with Uma Thurman.
Yeah, okay.
Did you find
I thought it was like a practice or something. I'm like, what is this Morocro? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Force ability, but only very few have that ability. So then Vildar Mac's like, oh, all of this stuff was just a big misunderstanding. So then Maddie's like, oh, so we should actually try to work together, because Tesseract was trying to find out who murdered this woman. He was going to meet her to help him discover who's stealing all these artifacts. And so she wants to pair up with him And he's like, nah, I'm going solo. He takes off and he disappears.
And he already has his lightsaber.
Yeah, we don't know it yet. Spoiler alert, but right here when they're arguing,
It's like we haven't
right
got
here
there
that they're
yet.
arguing, and you can see that
Yeah.
this is when he picks his pocket because he's a really good thief.
Yeah.
So they get up here and they're trying to track him. It's like, wait a minute, and he's talking to somebody else, and this guy looks familiar. He's a Condlerin, and you might recognize him from the Kenobi series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mole Man, right?
Yep. He was
And,
the driver.
Who picked up Obi-Wan and little Leia.
Yep.
So then he shows his driver, hey, I heard that you this guy's name is Briff. You're looking for artifacts and stuff, right? How about this? And he shows him Vildar Max's lightsaber. And Vildar Max like, that's my lightsaber. And Criff is like, not interested. And that's when he notices the Starbird.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, is that Kyber? He's like, hands off, And then Vildar Max like, Saber's grace. He can't wait. So he jumps down and he force pushes Criff. Criff loses his gun. But then Criff has like a little secret stash gun here. And he shoots at Vildar Mac. But luckily for Vildar, Tesseract blocks the blaster bolt and saves his life. So pretty exciting. He takes off. And they start talking about what they're doing. It's like, hey, you're the Jedi. You should have known all this stuff. And luckily for you, I had this body armor.
Right.
Of course, should have warned you about that. And he tells him, hey, you stole my saber. Yeah. He's like, you call me, what do you think? I'm cunning, genius? He's like, actually,
Right.
a lot of audacity to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Temple of the Wills here is incredible.
It sure is. And this is like a high security place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It does look like Vader's castle, doesn't it?
And the Fortress Inquisitoris as well, a little bit there.
So that's supposed to be the oldest temple, the oldest sanctum in the city. And that's where the Starbird was stolen from, because he knows where this is from. And they're like, let's go there.
That's a crystal made out of a bird made out of Kyber crystal?
Yeah. The Starbird is made out of Kyber, completely out of Kyber. And then if you go to Doc Undar's, you'll see a lot of other Kyber things that were stolen that are in his shop. They're up on the walls. But the Starbird's not one of them. But there we go. So we have this. Pretty cool. And they said, so the Guardians and the Jedi are in good terms then, right? She's like, of course. And he's like, good, because we're completely surrounded. And this was that cover that was very
the foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Notice like the bowcasters, very much what Chirrut has. Very common weapon. And one guy you see off to the left, lower left there,
down here,
a lot like Chirrut, even though it's not Chirrut, but
right.
Same similar dress.
So that's the end of our episode number 2, issue number 2, and I really enjoyed it. What do you guys think?
It's cool. We're building a party, and I always like parties. I always like D&D type parties where you have your thief and your soldier and your bard. So we're building our party, which is cool. This guy,
Tesseract.
I gotta memorize. There's a lot of Star Wars names, and there's a lot to remember in the comics. Tesseract even acts like Billy Butcher. All I need is an oi, and like on the line, oi. They want him to be as much as they can, which is funny. So he's like one of my favorite characters. I'm really dig this. I like it a lot, and I love parties. I love when there's a group. So definitely.
Yep. I like him a lot too. What about you, Bryce?
I think overall, like through the first 2 issues, even like it's just written really well. And I love the artwork. Good
artwork, yep.
And
I was just gonna say, and I love all the multiple connections to Legends and Star Wars is, you know, and I've said it from the beginning, but this High Republic is bringing all of Star Wars really tight knit together. And Taser-X peoples are from Legends, and I just love, and I have it here. So if you see here, this is Yoda on their planet of Isobi in the Thustra system, talking to the king of the Sephi. And these are the Sephi peoples, and this is when they were deciding to leave the Republic. So during the prequel trilogy times. So it's just really cool that they're being brought back in. A lot of these legends are being brought into the High Republic, so I love it. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think, I mean, this whole phase is sole purpose is to tie into other stuff. I think. I mean, we're just gonna get so many like that's gonna be that. That's gonna be that. Oh, this is right. This is why this is like that. So
Yeah.
and Jeddah. I mean, we're on Jeddah right now. So I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna hear more about that.
And it's super diverse because it also pulls from the comic strips. Like I know that the Sephi were first mentioned by Jeremy Barlow. He's the first creator of the Sephi, and he wrote of them in 2017, and it was in the Legends comic strips. It's called the Rise of the Empire, and there's also the Star Wars Rebels comic, Star Wars Rebels magazine, and there was a comic strip in that magazine of the Rise of the Empire where they had the Sephi.
Deep cut right there.
Yeah, and also the comic book Jedi Yoda. That's the one that I was referring to over here. That's the one that
when
has
you had said the comic book Yoda, I'm like, wait, the first issue hasn't come out yet, but you're going
the
back
Legends.
to Legends.
Yeah. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So overall, we're doing our holocron scales here, and I give this 5 holocrons. I love it. I'm really captivated.
I am too. I agree with you, Mike. I would go 5 out of 5 here as well. I think all the High Republic stuff is so well written. It definitely has taken over all of my reading time. So
I'm just gonna go 4 out of 5 just because I have to reserve the 5s for the really good ones. Which
this one was really good.
We'll get to really soon. I just can't put everything at 5s because else I'll do it all. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put this at 4.
All right. So this was your review from your Guardians of the Whills, Mike, John, and Bryce. And remember to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter.
Subscribe to our YouTube. We're gonna have a lot more. We're gonna do the Blade of Bardona soon. We're gonna go back and do Eye of the Storm. We got a lot to cover. So
yeah, check us out on the Facebook pages, Star Wars Celebration Europe 2023, Star Wars Book Nerds, and Star Wars Comic Book Club.
Thanks for joining us, and may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.